Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Lisa's Coloring Corner. Today I would like to flip through a new book that Radu Frasie, I think it's how it's pronounced, just recently came out with. Thank you very much, Radu. I appreciate you sending me this. And I am sorry if I am butchering your name, which I'm sure I am. So, this is a very different book, and I believe it's the first of its kind. It is called Draw and Color Relaxing Flowers. Now, don't worry, you don't have to draw from scratch like, I don't know, Johanna Basford's or Kirby's in their earlier books, how they kind of asked you if you, possibly draw more flowers or, whatever. The vast majority of us don't like to draw, we just like to color, right? Well, this book, you don't have to color or you don't have to draw from scratch. He kind of helps you out. Now, the size of this book is a little bit smaller than your typical size. As you can see here, this is the size of Sun Life Drawings World of Cats book, and it is pretty much your typical size. So it is about the same width, but it is shorter. Okay, so let's look at the book itself. Here is your title page. You get 50 different illustrations, and it says thanks for buying the book and asking about leaving a review. Then you have your testing page, and of course you want to put a piece of cardstock back behind, especially if you are using alcohol markers in this book. They are single-sided, so you can use alcohol markers, but even if you're testing water-based, probably still is a good idea to put cardstock behind. So I would like to read some of this because it tells you how to use this book, and it's going to kind of give you an idea of why this book is so unique. Okay, it says there are two main ways to use this type of coloring book. Number one, draw and color. The illustrations are printed with thin dashed lines. Draw the contour of the illustration over the printed lines. You can use a drawing pencil or the black pencil from your colored pencil set. After you draw the contour, you can color the illustration in the same way as in a usual adult coloring book. And the other way you can use the book is just to color. You can color the illustrations directly as they are without drawing their contour. You will obtain an artwork without contour lines. The illustration lines are printed in such a way to allow you to see them if you want to draw the contour, but they are barely visible if you color the illustrations without drawing the contour lines. Then he does go through a few drawing tips. It says it doesn't matter how good you are at drawing, this book is for everyone. Drawing is not something that you are born with. Drawing can be learned and improved by practice, but this book makes it even easier than that. All you need to do is to follow the lines. At the end, after following so many lines, you'll get used to it and your drawing skills will improve, but most importantly, this must be a relaxing and pleasant experience, so don't forget to have fun. There's a few tips down here. It says to use a drawing pencil with a soft writing core, and then he goes through the different hardnesses of pencils, which are the harder writing core and which are the softer. He suggests using multiple shorter strokes when you're drawing over the dashed lines rather than trying to draw one continuous line, because it's probably not going to be as even. Then he says start from the top layer. It's easier to draw the elements starting from the top layer to the bottom one. Gives you an example, and he says have fun. So let's look at this first illustration. Now it's going to be extremely hard for you to see this, and I am going to zoom in all the way, but it is extremely light. Okay, now I am zoomed in all the way. So I'm going to use a pen here to kind of point to things. All right, so where am I at here? Okay, so can you see these really fine dashed lines? All you're going to do, now he suggests a pencil, and he does have a video that he sent to me. I'm not sure if it's out on YouTube or not, because he always does complete flip-throughs of his books. He does a video. But he did send me a link to the video, and I will link it down below in the description. And he completes one of these on camera. And he did do it in pencil, and then he colored it in with colored pencil. And I asked him, I said, yeah, I know using a pencil would work when you are going to color with colored pencil. For the most part. I think even then, the graphite in the, you know, the lead of the pencil, to me, I would think would smear a little bit. And especially if you're going to use marker, I would think that that would smear. So what I would suggest would be to use a fine liner. Now, if you are going to color it in with alcohol marker, you are going to need a water-based fine liner. If you are going to color in with a water-based marker, you are going to need an alcohol, or it's a waterproof type of fine liner. I don't think I would go too fine of a tip on this, or it would be hard to color in. I don't know if you're like me, but I like thicker, bolder lines because it's easier to stay in the lines then. I think what I'm going to use when, if and when I color with alcohol markers, Copic has a whole line of multi-liners. And these come in, this is a set of 9, and they go from, where am I at? Itty bitty little teeny tip. Can you see that little thing? That is a, what size is that? 0.03. So that is really teeny tiny. Then they have 0.05. They have a brush in the set, a big brush. In the 9 set is the 0.05, which is still kind of small. The 1.0 is getting quite big. So that is a large tip. I think that's the largest one. Here is the small brush tip, which I really like. So they have a large brush tip and a small. And here's a 0.1. This one's quite small too. Very teeny tiny. I think that's the smallest one in the set. I thought the other one was, but it's not. And then 0.8. This is the size that I like. It's one step down from the biggest. And I think I would probably use this size to do this, maybe a size smaller. I would have to try it and test it and see. But this is the set of Copic Fineliners. Now Copic has 2 different sets of fine liners. The set that I got, let me zoom you back out for a minute. The set that I got, this is a set of 9. These are non-refillable, so they're a lot cheaper. I think this set of 9 was like 22 something, 23 bucks, and for the Copic name, that's pretty cheap, right? But then they also have, where did I put it? Here we go. This was included in some set that I had bought, in some Copic set. They do have a whole set of these in the silver. You'll notice these are in a gray and black casing. They have a whole set that are refillable, and they're the same sizes as these, but yeah, they're in a silver matte type of casing. And yes, they are refillable, so they are a lot more expensive. I believe this same set in the refillable set is like 65 bucks. So yeah, you know, it really wouldn't be worth it for the colorist to, of course, buy the whole refillable set, unless you really do a lot of drawing and stuff. But artists, you know, would probably find that handy. Again, I wouldn't even have this if it wasn't wouldn't have been sent to me in some set that I bought. But I do like having all the different sizes. So I did buy the one use and toss pens. Now, I'm sure there are other waterproof pens out there. One that I did try is the Sakura Pigma Micron pen, and many of us are familiar with these pens. This is a .08, and I believe I have the whole set of these two. The .08, again, like I said, is my favorite size tip. When I send packages and stuff out, I always use this for writing out the name and address. So I did test this one out with the water-based, let's see, I think I tested it with the Arteza Twi markers. I couldn't think of the name, and it worked fine. It did not bleed whatsoever. So this Sakura Micron pen works also. I imagine these are cheaper to get than the Copics. I also have a let's see, where did I put it? A Statler pigment liner. Now, I did not test this one out, but if you Google it or you look on Amazon, there are a lot of fine liners out there that say that they are waterproof. So, of course, any of these you're going to want to test first, either on a separate sheet of cardstock or on the test page that is in this book. So you're going to want to use, again, a waterproof fine liner pen if you're using water-based, and you're going to want to use a water-based fine liner if you're using alcohol markers. So it's the opposite. You know, you use alcohol markers, you want a water base. You use water base, you need like an alcohol base or a waterproof. Okay, now that we got that all out of the way, let's zoom back in and look at this again. And again, I'll get out one of my fine liners here. Oh, and I grabbed a brush one, but I guess I can point to this really good with this. Hopefully I won't touch the page. So again, you see these dashed lines in through here. That is what you are going to draw over. And that's why he said, rather than trying to make one continuous line, you're probably not going to be able to, you know, the typical person anyhow, would not be able to do it real smoothly around. So he suggests to kind of make lines, and it's actually going to give it a little bit of texture. Now you'll notice also he drew in some solid lines too. But this whole picture is in such light gray lines, you know, and he did it intentionally, I think, with the dashed, so that when you go over it with your pen, you're not going to see the lines underneath. But I think what I'm going to do when I try this first one, I'm going to go over the solid lines also. And I am going to be coloring my first picture with marker. I don't know if it'll be, probably water-based markers. I will also be trying, probably not on camera, off camera, gel pens on one of these. Now, gel pens, of course, are water-based, so you would need a waterproof pen to do the lines. So just keep that in mind. And again, always test before you start a picture. So it's going to be kind of hard to do a complete flip through of this book. I mean, I can zoom out a little bit and you can kind of get an idea of what each page is like. So here's a couple of big flowers. I tried to get this as dark as I could so that you could kind of see as much as possible. Here's a bunch of flowers with some leaves in the background, and I know you can't see the whole picture because I am still kind of zoomed in, but it'll at least give you an idea. And they are all flowers. They're just in different, what do you want to call it, situations, different poses and variety of leaves. So yeah, you can kind of make out where the dashed lines are, where the solid lines are, a number of different leaves. Here's two big, beautiful hibiscus plants, or flowers, I should say. That would be a fun one to do. And you could always, you know, gesso these too and blend with your water-based markers. All kinds of things you could do with this. I don't know how well this would copy onto marker paper and try to blend it with alcohol markers because this is so fine or so light. I don't think it would copy too well. Not on your typical printer / copier. Here's a different type of flower on this page. Here's a couple of different kinds of flowers. Again, he puts the lines, you know, the gray lines in here. And, you know, maybe if you're using more translucent type of markers and lighter colors, you may not want to go over that with the black fine liners. Or there are some fine liners, you know, that come in multiple colors. It's not saying you have to use black. You know, you can use any color you want. Maybe, you know, you're going to make a blue flower and a purple flower and a pink flower and a yellow flower. And you want to outline them in those particular colors. You know, that would look pretty too. Some more pretty flowers. Here's some different kinds again. And here's a whole bouquet of them. That could be fun too. Would take a while to do, but I bet you would be gorgeous when it's done. Here's a very faint one. I don't know if you can make that. Yeah, you can. These look like daisies. Even though it's light, you actually can see my paper for a change. Oh, those are pretty. And there's some more. Those are pretty. A couple of different styles of leaves again in that one. A couple different kinds of flowers. Look at that gorgeous butterfly in the middle. Oh, pretty, pretty. Now where he has these gray areas, you may just want to leave them gray, or again, you can color them in with a black fine liner or a colored fine liner. Of course, you're going to want a darker color fine liner to go over the top of the gray. You know, you wouldn't want to try a light yellow or a, you know, a peach or something like that. It would not look that good then, but there's a whole variety of flowers. Here's a set of 3 hibiscus flowers. Those are so pretty. They're one of my favorites. Looks like some more daisies. And is that like a dragonfly in the middle? I actually can see it better on the camera than I can down at my desk. So I'm looking over at my iPad. It shows up better on there than in person for a change. That doesn't happen very often. Oh, these are pretty too. Nice. Oh, those are pretty. I like them all. He draws flowers so pretty. Here's some more. You know, you could go over the gray or not. And I think if you do use, you know, colored pencil in here, the blending would be very, very pretty on these flowers and the leaves. Here's one big flower. It's like a mandala type flower and leaves. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like fireworks. You know, isn't that what it looks like? Every time I turn the page, it's like, oh, it looks like fireworks. So yeah, we are going to try one of these out on camera. I'm not sure if we'd be able to do the whole thing because, as you can imagine, it would take a while to get one of these finished. But we will at least do a section on camera. I have a few color and chats that I have to do before this one, and one of them is Out of This World of Cats book by Sun Life Drawing, which if you've seen my flip through, you know it is an extremely detailed book. So that color and chat is going to be multiple parts long, so it will be a while before I get to this, because I also want to do at least one more color and chat from a chibi coloring book for Charming Chibis color along this month. And it will be a grayscale one out of Jade Summers' chibi grayscale book. Oh, there's another bouquet. Pretty leaves around the outside. Another pretty butterfly in the middle. My ring's turning around and that drives me crazy. It's almost another mandala type picture. I like those. I've always liked mandalas, you know that. I really like those flowers that he puts the, you know, the gray in through. Oh, and here's a whole bouquet of, I believe these are hibiscus. There's 4 of them in there. So yeah, there are a lot of pages in this book. Now I believe the pictures in this is the same as his other coloring book that has been out already. Trying to think of the name of it. But it's a standard coloring book. I think these are the same pictures, only these have the dashed lines. So you do both steps, you know, unless, again, you want to color it without putting the lines in. Some people like their pictures with real fine lines so that when you're done coloring it in, you don't really see the lines and it looks more realistic. Here's another one with a gorgeous butterfly. Just like some people don't like color by numbers when the numbers show through once they're done coloring them. For me, it doesn't bother me any, but some people it does, so we're all different. Love the way he draws leaves too. They're so pretty. Ooh, some more hibiscus, and then I think a few daisies. Again, reminds me of fireworks. Kind of upside down fireworks. bunch of daisies. I think that's what they look like to me. Now he does also leave a blank sheet in the back where you could also test, you know, some additional coloring mediums. So that is, let me zoom back out, Radu's latest book. Again, a very unique kind of book. And as you see on the front cover here, it kind of shows you the process of where the dotted lines are here. Okay. Then it shows you about the drawing and how you're going to draw in the lines by going over the dotted lines, and then you color them. Now here is where you will draw in color so that there you have the black lines around, so that is your one option. Okay, then you have where you don't draw the lines and you just color, so you don't have an outside border and it does look more realistic. So again, you do have a couple of options there. I do like the look of this when there's no lines. I think that would be a little bit more difficult to color. Probably only be able to do that with pencils, huh? Definitely wouldn't be able to do it with alcohol marker. Depending on how much it bleeds on this paper. But yeah, I think that would be very difficult. Water-based, you may be able to get away with it. But okay, anyway, enough of me blabbering on and on. So I hope you liked watching this flip through of this very unique book. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe if you are new to my channel. I hope everybody is having a terrific beginning of the week, and as always, happy coloring. Bye guys.